Hey, I'm John Greaves III. I'm the co-founder of Garage Gym Life, and today I'm doing a review of my Iron Bull Strength Frankenstein Uprights. For those not familiar with them, the Frankenstein Uprights are a type of hybrid power rack upright that incorporates both 1-inch and 5/8 holes on the same post. So we saw several versions of this concept in 2025, and for the past 8 months, my wife Naomi and I have been testing these Iron Bull Strength Frankenstein Uprights here in our home gym. And I gotta say, we're extremely pleased with how they've held up. Why are hybrid uprights like these even necessary? Simply put, they make it so home gym owners no longer have to choose between 5/8 or 1-inch attachments for their rack. For example, I prefer using Monolift attachments when I bench press so I can simulate getting a handoff from someone. I think that it's a lot safer and it allows me to maintain the proper setup position because it mimics where someone would hand the bar off to me. Now, you may have had a different experience, but I've only been able to find Monolift attachments in 5/8. At the same time, I still have a number of 1-inch attachments, including some custom attachments that I love and want to keep. Before these hybrid uprights came on the market, I had to choose between being safe on the bench press, which is the one powerlifting movement that can literally kill you, and being able to use my favorite attachments. With the Frankenstein uprights, I can use any 5/8 or 1-inch attachment I want as long as it fits a 3x3 post. So the use case for hybrid uprights is clear. The question is, are the Frankenstein uprights your best option? Okay, one more thing. Come closer. All right, this is a review of the Frankenstein uprights. Just the Frankenstein uprights. Now, if you decide to place an order for this, you'll have the option of purchasing Frankenstein uprights, the Frankenstein cross members. You'll even have the option for their functional trainer that goes with this rack, and maybe even the lever arms that they sell. We've seen those things, but not for more than an hour at Home Gym Con. So this review is only about these uprights because that's what we got. So as I said, we've tested these for 8 months with roughly 6 workouts per week, and they've held up extremely well. Most of you saw these uprights for the first time at Home Gym Con 2025, but Naomi and I found out about the Frankenstein uprights in March 2025 while I was interviewing Frank Bison, the founder of Iron Bull Strength. I told Frank I loved the concept, and he agreed to send us a set of the uprights to test out. The uprights arrived in May, and when we unboxed them, I was just as excited as I was when Frank showed them to me on his phone. Let's talk specs. These uprights are made out of 3x3 11-gauge steel, and they have a textured powder coat to protect them from scratching. And as you can see, the game changer is the hybrid hole sizing with 1-inch holes on the top and 5/8 holes on the bottom. They're numbered from 1 to 30, and they are spaced evenly every 2 inches apart in a keyhole pattern across all faces of the uprights. Now, about that powder coat, I'm not sure what this is, but let me take this J-hook off real quick and show you. These uprights arrived with some damage from in transit. The boxes weren't opened, but we did see some damage on the face of the uprights. Kept an eye on it, hasn't gotten any worse, and it's something that I can live with because, after all, I was given these uprights for free, and overall, my philosophy about power racks is that they don't need to be pristine. They just need to be safe and functional, and that's definitely these. Now, other people who've gotten theirs, I don't believe have had any issues similar to mine, but I'm not sure. You'd have to reach out to the other creators who've done reviews of their Frankenstein uprights to see if they had similar issues or if this was just a one-off. For those of you who don't know, the Frankenstein uprights were created as a result of dialogues between Iron Bull Strength, Mark from the Flex Marks the Spot YouTube channel, and the Home Gym Life Project YouTube channel. Because of that dialogue, they're not locked into one company's ecosystem. Instead, the keyhole design makes them compatible with all 5/8 and 1-inch attachments from any brand. I can verify that in the past year, we've successfully mounted attachments from Belts of Steel, Rogue Fitness, Prano Fitness, Fringe Sport, and of course, Iron Bull Strength. The only issue that I've had with mounting any attachments was with my bells of steel monolift attachments. There's a little bit of play right here. You guys can see that. And the only reason that is potentially an issue is that the bar, which sits right here, the positioning of it is gonna be different if this is flush like this than if gravity pulls it down. And even that's not an issue so long as gravity pulls it down on both sides. So basically there's got to be the same amount of gap on both sides with each monolift attachment. I don't know though if this is an issue with the uprights or if it's an issue with the monolift attachment or if this is something that's just common to all monolift attachments. So I can't 100% say that this is a problem with the Frankenstein uprights because every other attachment that we've used, from our Rogue Hatfield handles to even the Microgains change plate hanger that we have up, everything else has fit just fine on the rack. So we got these uprights in the same 90-inch height as our previous 5/8 uprights, but they're also available in 72-inch, 78-inch, 84-inch, and 96-inch, as well as in custom sizes by special request. And when you place your order, you will have the option to add floor plate mounts if your current uprights don't have them, but that's not something that we had to do because our previous uprights already had the mounts. So a little heads up for you. Because these are made to order and they ship residential freight from Canada, you're going to experience longer shipping times than if they ship to UPS or FedEx. On the plus side, shipping freight means that your uprights are more likely to show up without damaged boxes. If you know, you know. Something that I've seen other content creators mention is that the 1-inch part of the keyhole is tapered in. This is not a design flaw. This is designed so that you don't have a problem with a 5/8 pin like this slipping up into the 1-inch hole. On other racks that don't have this feature, it's a lot easier for the 5/8 pin to go in at an angle, which can lead to a less secure seating of the pin and a less secure seating of the attachment. As I said, my wife and I are extremely happy with these uprights. The powder coat has held up really well, and there's not a ton of damage in the keyholes from the friction of seating and unseating the various attachments. One area where you can learn from our mistake is when we originally swapped out our 5/8 uprights for the Frankenstein uprights, we started with the rear posts and worked our way to the front. The problem with doing that is we didn't get Frankenstein cross members. We kept the old 5/8 cross members we already had. So because we started in the back, the holes in the 5/8 cross members didn't line up correctly, and we ended up having to install the Frankenstein uprights with the front facing out to the sides so the holes would line up. They worked just fine that way, except when I mounted a suspension arm to hold my heavy bag, I found that if I did axle presses outside the rack, the 45-pound plates would sometimes hit the suspension arm. So I reached out to Bull Strength and they told me how to fix the problem. It took about an hour and we had to loosen all of the bolts, and then starting at the middle uprights that are anchored by the rack header, we unbolted and rotated each upright one at a time, leaving all the bolts loose until we were done. Then we tightened everything down with our impact, and now the uprights are oriented in the correct direction. All in all, we're extremely satisfied with this upright power rack ecosystem. And if you've been looking for a solution that'll let you use more than one size attachment, I highly recommend these. One final note, if you're interested in purchasing a power rack, you do have the option to buy a complete Frankenstein rack using the Frankenstein Power Rack Builder on the Bull Strength website. But if you're just going to be swapping out your uprights and you have a 6-post rack like we do, just make sure that you start with the middle uprights and work your way outward so you don't have any issues with the holes in the cross members lining up. So that's about it. If you have any questions about these uprights that I didn't answer, go ahead and drop them in the comments and I'll do the best I can to answer them for you. Have a great day.